Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on something really interesting. It feels like we've gathered this collection of profound insights, all from like a single day's worth of thinking.
Yeah, it's kind of striking, isn't it, how wisdom often just pops up in these fragments.
Exactly, like scattered puzzle pieces. You find one here, another one over there. But, the real magic, the power, it isn't just in finding the pieces.
Right. It's in seeing how they actually fit together, how they connect to form, well, a bigger picture, a really meaningful one about how to live.
It's almost like discovering a hidden structure, isn't it?
That's a great way to put it. These individual thoughts, they don't just sit there alone. When you look closely, they reveal this underlying architecture. It's more than just collecting quotes.
It's seeing the connections, the blueprint underneath.
Precisely.
And that right there, that's what we're doing today. We're piecing together what we're calling the architecture of conscious living. Lessons in love, authority, and continuous growth. We'll be exploring how thinkers like Viktor Frankl, Robert Greene, Wim Hof, Ryan Holiday, Earl Nightingale, even David Lynch, and a few others, how their ideas actually offer this coherent blueprint for a purposeful life.
And it really is about getting beyond just, reacting to life.
Yeah.
It's about intentionally building something fulfilling, something impactful. It's like a whole philosophy drawn from these different places.
So what does this mean for you listening right now? Well, think of this deep dive as your shortcut, a way to grasp a holistic philosophy for life you can actually use.
Our goal is really to pull out the key nuggets, the essential stuff.
Right, helping you understand what really matters for navigating life with more purpose, more influence, maybe more fulfillment, building a more resilient, aware, effective you.
Do a more intentional life. Let's dive in.
Okay, so to build this architecture, we need a foundation, a solid starting point. And for that, we absolutely have to turn to Viktor Frankl. His ideas about love are they're transformative.
They really are. He doesn't see love as just like an emotion or romance. It's much deeper. It's how we fundamentally know another person.
His core assertion is just so powerful. He says, love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality.
Exactly. And then no one can become fully aware of the very essence of another human being unless he loves him. That completely reframes love, doesn't it?
It really does. It's not just sentiment. He turns it into this tool for understanding.
A cognitive tool, yeah. It's fascinating. That phrase, innermost core of his personality.
Yeah, that jumps out. It's not about their job or their favorite hobbies, is it?
No. It's deeper, almost spiritual. The real truth of who they are. Frankl basically positions love as an epistemological tool.
Epistemological.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so related to how we know things.
Exactly. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. So if love is a tool for knowing, it's a unique way to gain knowledge about someone. It goes way beyond just observing them or judging their surface traits.
Like looking at a fancy car but having no idea how the engine works.
That's a perfect analogy. You see the shiny exterior, but love lets you see the internal gears, the actual mechanism, the potential. It's seeing who they are deep down and, crucially, who they could become.
Okay, let's make this concrete. The example in the source is the struggling student. That really clarifies it.
Right. So a casual observer walks in, sees a kid with bad grades, maybe acting out a bit.
The quick judgment is poor performance, lax ability, problem kid, surface level stuff.
But a teacher, using Frankl's idea of love, that deep seeing, they see something totally different.
They look past the grades.
Yeah. They might see fear or potential that hasn't found an outlet. Maybe hidden barriers, learning issues, problems at home, something stealing their energy.
Or maybe just a lack of belief in themselves. That can be crippling.
Absolutely. And that's where love becomes active. It's not passive feeling. It's an active search for understanding. It's insight.
So this loving vision, as Frankl puts it, isn't just accepting what's there now.
Not at all. It's dynamic. It's about seeing that which is potential in him, which is not yet actualized, but yet ought to be actualized.
Seeing the blueprint for who they could be, even if they're nowhere near it yet.
Yeah.
Like seeing the oak tree inside the acorn.
Exactly. And it's not passive seeing, it's active recognition plus a commitment to help it unfold. You see the seed, you see the potential tree, and then you actively help it grow. You provide the water, the light.
You hold up a mirror to their potential.
Right. You make them aware of what they can be, and that awareness helps make it real. You ignite that path for growth.
So how does this apply to us, to you, listening? It means conscious living really starts with seeing potential. Not just in others, but in yourself too.
Yeah, looking beyond your current situation, your limitations, your past mistakes, understanding that today isn't necessarily tomorrow.
That belief in potential.
Yeah.
That's where all real growth begins. It's the foundation. Okay, so Frankl gives us this incredible foundation. Love as deep knowing, seeing potential. But that makes you wonder, right, what happens when that seeing gets blurry, especially for people with power, with authority?
Yes. And that leads us straight into Robert Greene and the paradox of authority.
It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it, how success itself can actually block more growth?
It really is. And it's a trap, that many people fall into without even realizing it. Greene points out that, yes, your authority will grow with each action that inspires trust and respect. You need that for big projects, for leadership.
That's the good side. Earned respect, influence.
But here's the warning. That same authority, once it's established, once you're comfortable with it, can become rigid and stodgy as you get older.
Rigid and stodgy. Ouch.
Yeah. And you can start to seem oppressive or even, as he says, a relic to the next generation, no matter how respected you once were.
Like that brilliant old architect you mentioned. Designed amazing buildings. Everyone respects the past work. But then things change. New materials, new needs. And they're stuck using the old blueprints, unwilling to adapt. They become irrelevant.
That's exactly it. You can think of it like an authority life cycle. Competence leads to trust, which leads to influence. That's the positive arc.
But
then, if you're not careful, that earned respect can curdle into an expectation of respect. Influence hardens into inflexibility. Entitlement creeps in.
Greene really nails the psychology, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You also have the tendency as you get older to become ever so slightly intolerant and tyrannical.
As you cannot help but expect people to follow you.
Yeah.
Without being aware, you start to feel entitled, and people sense this. It's subtle, insidious often. You don't see it in yourself.
Wow. Intolerant and tyrannical.
Yeah.
That hits hard. It's like your past success becomes this cage.
It makes you resistant to new ideas, maybe unwilling to really listen. You just expect people to get on board because, well, it's you saying it or it worked before.
This ties straight back to Frankl, doesn't it? This is where the architecture really locks together.
Absolutely. When you lose that ability to truly see others, Frankl's loving vision, to see them as individuals with their own perspectives, their own potential, not just tools or extensions of your plan.
Then the foundation of your leadership just crumbles.
Right. You start seeing team members as cogs or irritations, not people with potential. That's where the intolerance comes from. It's a failure to truly see and value their inner world. You stop listening because you think you already know.
So if you're not seeing people with that Franklian love, that deep awareness, you're just seeing tools or problems.
And that's exactly when the rigid, tyrannical side emerges. You become irrelevant, or worse, resented.
So what's Greene's solution? How do you keep the authority but stay open? It sounds like a contradiction.
It does, but his answer is about cultivating ongoing, active sensitivity. He says you need to maintain a kind of sensitivity, noting the moods behind people's words, gauging the effect you have on newcomers and young people.
So paying attention, really tuning in.
And he also suggests proactively seeking new markets, new audiences, because that forces you to adapt, to understand different views, to change your approach.
That makes sense. It forces you out of your comfort zone.
He stresses that losing empathy, losing that sensitivity, that should be your biggest fear. Otherwise, you just wrap yourself in your old reputation and become isolated, obsolete.
And that sensitivity, that sounds exactly like Frankl's loving awareness.
It really is. It's not just passive empathy. It's being actively aware of where people are coming from, what they might need, what their potential is, instead of just projecting your own stuff onto them. It's a continuous act of seeing.
So it's crucial for flexible authority.
Huh.
Greene mentions Picasso, Hitchcock, Coco Chanel.
Right. As people who mastered this balance, they didn't just stick to one thing and become caricatures.
Picasso's different periods, Hitchcock's evolving style, Chanel reinventing fashion.
Exactly. They evolved, changed their expression, but kept their core voice. They stayed relevant because they refused to get rigid. You always knew it was them, but it wasn't static.
Yeah, you could tell it was Picasso, even when it looked totally different. So true authority isn't rigid consistency.
No, it's flexible application of core principles, adapting to change, to new insights, new audiences, being true to yourself but open to the world.
Which really brings it back to you, the listener. How do you maintain influence and respect at work, at home, wherever, without falling into that rigidity trap?
Greene suggests it's through that constant empathy and adaptability. Keep seeing people. Keep your authority alive and responsive, not a dusty relic. It takes vigilance, constant vigilance.
Okay, so we have Frankel's deep seeing, Green's flexible authority.
Ugh.
But how do you actually build the inner strength for all this? The psychological muscle needed for this kind of conscious living, this constant adaptation.
Now we get to the forge. Wim Hof. His philosophy is all about training the mind.
His core idea is simple, but really potent. Make the mind your best friend.
To the point where it can always be relied on when needed, always prepared.
The mind makes us strong from within and is our wise companion.
Yeah.
It's not just positive thinking, is it?
Not at all. It's about intentionally cultivating deep psychological resilience, building an inner ally you can truly trust.
Make the mind your best friend. That suggests a real relationship, something you nurture, train, trust, not just a tool you use sometimes.
Exactly, an unwavering alliance. And his method for building this strength, again, deceptively simple. Sacrifice comfort.
Sacrifice comfort.
Uncomfortable situations strengthen the mind. The sacrifices made will be rewarded. It's just like physical fitness, right?
Totally. You don't build muscle relaxing on the sofa. You lift weights, you push yourself, you embrace that temporary discomfort for long-term strength.
And Hoff says, do the same for your mind. Voluntarily engage with difficulty, not for pointless suffering, but because that struggle builds resilience, mental toughness, the capacity to handle life. The mind is like a muscle. It grows under stress.
So it's psychological weightlifting.
Pretty much. And think how this connects back to Green's challenge of flexible authority.
Ah, right. Avoiding rigidity.
The discomfort of questioning your own methods, being open to criticism, adapting to new ways of doing things. Those are the uncomfortable situations Hoff is talking about. They strengthen your conscious leadership.
It's the discomfort of learning and, crucially, unlearning.
And the alternative, that's Green's trap. The comfort of assumption, habit, resting on your laurels. That comfort leads straight to stagnation, becoming that relic.
So paradoxically, embracing discomfort keeps you relevant, keeps you growing.
Absolutely. And there's another layer here. Coach Dan John's observation is brilliant. In training, everything works. For about 6 weeks.
For about 6 weeks. What does that mean in this context?
It highlights what he calls the adaptation imperative. Our system's physical, mental, emotional, they constantly adjust. What was hard yesterday becomes routine today.
The discomfort fades.
And so does the stimulus for growth. You hit a plateau.
So you can't just do one hard thing and be done. You have to keep finding new challenges, pushing the boundaries. Your mind adapts, seeks equilibrium.
It means growth is a continuous evolution. A constant recalibration. What worked last year might not work this year.
Think about parenting. The strategies for a toddler won't work for a teenager. You have to adapt.
Exactly. Or a professional in any field. The skills that got you started might be obsolete now. You have to embrace the discomfort of learning new things to stay relevant.
So for you, the listener, this means really changing how you see discomfort. It's not the enemy.
It's the path. It's the chosen path to psychological strength, to continuous growth. It's essential for navigating a world that's always changing. Choose the challenge before it chooses you.
Okay, building on that inner strengths, let's shift focus slightly. We often measure life in years or, what we achieve externally. But what about the experience of time itself? Earl Nightingale had a fascinating take.
Yeah, he said, when the days are too short, chances are you are living at your best.
That's interesting. It's not just about being busy, is it?
No, not busy for busy's sake.
Yeah.
You can be swamped and feel like time is dragging. He's talking about the quality of your engagement.
Like when you're fully present, absorbed in what you're doing.
Exactly. Purposefully engaged, in the moment. When that happens, your subjective sense of time just shifts. It flies by. Or disappears altogether.
It's so true. Think about watching the clock in a boring meeting versus losing track of time during a great conversation or working on something you love.
That contrast says it all. The boring meeting, disconnected, mind wandering. Every minute feels like an hour.
But the passionate conversation, the creative project, even intense exercise.
Complete absorption. Consciousness and activity align. Hours feel like minutes. That's the flow state Nightingale is pointing to, that timeless immersion.
And this connects so well with David Lynch's point. True happiness is not out there. True happiness lies within.
Ah, yes, that cuts against the grain, doesn't it? We're always chasing external things, the promotion, the relationship, the money, the vacation, thinking those will bring happiness.
Like happiness is something you acquire.
But both Nightingale and Lynch are pointing to the same liberating idea. Real fulfillment comes from your quality of engagement with whatever is happening right now.
Not primarily from the external circumstances themselves.
Right. It doesn't mean passively accepting bad situations, but it means cultivating an internal state, a presence, that lets you bring your full attention and purpose to your current reality, even while you work to improve things.
Being fully in it instead of always wishing you were somewhere else.
That's it. So the focus shifts, doesn't it? It's less about changing the outer world to find happiness.
And more about changing your inner world, your approach, cultivating presence.
Which is huge for conscious living. If fulfillment comes from internal engagement, then the main task is building that capacity for presence and purpose.
Suddenly, even mundane things, washing dishes, waiting in line, become practice opportunities.
Exactly. Opportunities to be mindful, to be present, to engage fully. It makes happiness less dependent on getting everything perfect externally. It puts the power back in your mind.
So the challenge for you, the listener, is to rethink time and happiness. Focus on cultivating that internal presence, that purpose, day by day.
Find the richness in the now, not just chasing the next. Choose to live fully, right here.
Okay, internal strength, deep empathy, full engagement. Now let's weave these threads together. Ryan Holiday's reflections on fatherhood offer this powerful integration, and his core idea is pretty transformative. Personal development isn't just for you, it's actually a form of service.
He starts with a really stark image, doesn't he? That sad sight of the father. Or really anyone in a position of responsibility who has clearly stopped trying.
Yeah, it's unfortunately recognizable. The signs are subtle but clear. Gaining weight, checking out emotionally, hating the job, accepting mediocrity from the kids, blaming others. It's resignation.
A slow fade. Holiday says we see that person and think, I never want to be that guy.
But then he turns it right back on us. The classic Holiday gut punch. Okay. But what steps are you taking actively to make sure you don't become that person? He demands accountability.
And his core principle hits hard. It applies a law of physics to our lives. If you're not actively developing yourself, what's happening? You're atrophying. You're getting worse. Entropy is winning.
Entropy. The tendency towards decay, disorder, he's saying that applies to our character, our being.
Directly. There's no neutral gear, no standing still. You're either intentionally growing or you are by default declining, shrinking.
That's bracing. No coasting allowed in conscious living.
But here's the liberating part. Holiday's insight is that this personal development serves others just as much as it serves you. It's not selfish.
He asks, your kids will be better served by a parent who's getting better, right?
Exactly. Your active growth, your commitment to being a better version of yourself creates the conditions for others to flourish. Your spouse, your colleagues, your friends, it lifts the whole environment.
And we're back to Frankel again, that loving vision.
Full circle.
Right.
By embodying growth, by actively pursuing your potential, you naturally help others see their own possibilities. You don't just tell them, you show them. You live it. You become the example.
It transforms things we might see as selfish, doesn't it? Like working out, reading, setting goals.
Suddenly, they're acts of service. The parent staying fit models health and discipline. The person always learning shows growth is lifelong. The one pursuing goals demonstrates purpose in action. Your commitment lights a fire for others.
It's the power of example, not lectures. Holiday quotes Epictetus on Socrates.
Who delighted in attending to his own improvement day to day.
Delighted, that word is key. Not seeing it as a chore, but finding joy in the process.
That delight, that genuine pleasure in becoming and refining yourself daily, that's the emotional heart of conscious living. When you find joy in your growth, it becomes infectious. It inspires others naturally.
So the big takeaway for you, the listener,
Yeah.
your personal growth isn't selfish. Far from it.
It's a gift, a source of inspiration, a source of strength for everyone connected to you. By building your own conscious architecture, you serve yourself and you profoundly serve others. You create ripples of betterment.
Wow. We've really constructed something significant here today, haven't we? This whole architecture of conscious living.
Yeah, starting with Frankel's loving vision as the absolute bedrock.
Then Green's flexible authority providing the structural beams, needing that constant empathy.
Powered by Hoff's mental forge, that embrace of discomfort as the energy system.
Measured by Nightingale and Lynch's focus on the quality of engagement, finding richness within.
And the whole thing given purpose by Holiday's idea of service through self-improvement.
Okay, let's bring it home. Let's look at two simple directives that seem basic, but actually embody all these principles in practice.
The first one, train for life.
Train for life, simple, but deep.
It's not just gym prep. It's a metaphor for the constant demands of being consciously alive. Physical training becomes practice for the adaptation needed everywhere else, mentally, emotionally, relationally.
So lifting weights isn't just about muscles. It's building resilience, discipline, the ability to push through discomfort skills for all of life's challenges.
Precisely. It's training for everything. Every rep is a lesson in showing up, in adapting. It's cultivating the habit of consistent effort.
It's Frankel's vision for yourself, Green's flexibility, Hoff's discomfort, Nightingale's engagement. It's all there.
It's a proactive stance towards inevitable change. And the second directive,
Be heard without sounding like you're yelling. Raise your words, not your voice.
this one hits right at communication influence. And this, maybe more than anything, requires that inner strength Wim Hof talked about.
Staying centered under pressure.
Yeah, communicating clearly, powerfully, without getting reactive or just shouting louder. It's controlled force, precise articulation, not just raw emotion, having the fortitude to stay clear when things get heated.
So when you feel that urge to yell, to dominate the conversation,
You have the inner discipline, the mental muscle to choose better words instead, to articulate more precisely, more persuasively. It shows real self-mastery.
and connects right back to Frankel's love, doesn't it? Seeing the other person.
Absolutely. Raising words, not voice, is choosing to meet them where they are. Communicating so they can actually hear, not just shutting them down with intensity. It's respect, seeing their dignity.
And it's Green's flexible authority, too. Knowing when to temper your delivery, choosing clarity over volume, influence through understanding, not force.
It's conscious communication in action.
So for you, the listener, these directives are practical examples. They show how inner work strength, love, flexibility translates directly into outer actions.
Especially in how you communicate. Powerfully, respectfully, effectively, even when it's tough. Inner development leads to outer impact. It shapes your life and the lives you touch.
So we really have come full circle, an incredible journey through this architecture of conscious living, built from insights all gathered metaphorically on one day.
We saw Frankel's loving vision as the foundation seeing potential.
Green's flexible authority as the structure influenced through empathy and adaptation.
Hoff's deliberate discomfort as the energy system's strength through challenge.
Nightingale and Lynch's quality of engagement as the measurement fulfillment from within.
And Holiday's service orientation as the purpose, personal growth as a gift to others.
What really stands out, I think, is that conscious living isn't some final destination. It's not a finished building.
No, it's a continuous daily practice, a living architecture needing constant attention.
It takes humility to keep learning, strength to keep challenging yourself, and wisdom to remember it serves something bigger than just you.
These insights really chart a kind of middle path, don't they? Where personal growth and serving others aren't opposed. They're intertwined aspects of a life truly well lived.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe reflect on as you go about your day.
Yeah, looking at this blueprint, what specific piece of this architecture, Frankel's vision, Green's authority, Hoff's forge, Nightingale's engagement, Holiday service, what resonates most with you right now?
And maybe more importantly, what's one small concrete step you could take to start building on that piece in your own life? Maybe starting today.
A powerful question indeed.
A very powerful question. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of conscious living. Until next time, keep building and keep digging deeper.